Good evening, and welcome to Recovery Talk. Recovery Talk is WMUZ 103.5 FM, newest radio show that captures the real, raw, and honest truth of addiction, long-term recovery, trials and tribulations, and empowerment. You can join us every Sunday at this time with our host, recoveryologist Andre Johnson, as he hosts awesome special guests to eliminate and educate our community about prevention, treatment, and recovery. You can also listen online at recoveryfordetroit.com and call in at 313-838-1035. That's every Sunday night from 8 o'clock p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. on WMUZ 103.5 FM. All right, that was such an appropriate song to bring this in, paying tribute to the Queen. If you was here last week for our initial show, you'll notice that this is not Andre Johnson. My name is Lawrence Kenyatta. I'm stepping in for Andre today. I'm honored to be sitting up here because we got a heck of a show lined up with some awesome guests to talk about prevention today. I'm a certified substance abuse counselor, and I'm also a certified prevention consultant in the state of Michigan. But most of all, I'm proud to say I'm a person in long-term recovery. I got 36 years clean, abstinent from all mind and mood altering chemicals. So I feel absolutely great to be given this opportunity to sit up here and stand in for a great brother by the name of Andre Johnson. Today, we have two dynamic speakers, young ladies here today who really need no introduction. Anyone who's been around the field of substance abuse prevention, treatment, and recovery know these young ladies. Well, we got three people here, but our special guest, we have young ladies who's presented from all over the state of Michigan, the United States, and internationally known. They are highly respected in their field. And like I said, this is going to be an awesome show. So once again, if you want to talk about prevention, treatment, and recovery, please call in at 838-1035. Recovery Talks, WMUZ 103.5. Let me first introduce our first special guest. Her name is Dr. Carla Mitchell. She's an ND. Dr. Mitchell is a clinical therapist of natural and a visionary leader of exhaustion, integrity, wellness. I kind of stumbled on that, but I'm going to let you, I know she can do a way better job than I can do. So believe me, anybody that's out in the audience, you have an opportunity to hear about the way that she approached substance abuse prevention, treatment, and recovery. We also have Dr. Grenae Dudley. She's a licensed clinical psychologist. She brings a lot of experience and knowledge in the field of substance abuse prevention, treatment, and recovery, working with young people in after-school programs, reduction of youth violence, substance abuse, and early sexual activities, and bring invaluable experience and insight to this mission. So I want to go right to Dr. Mitchell first and ask the question. Please give me a little information. I read your bio, and it was so informative, and I was so excited that I wanted you to just kind of let our listeners know exactly what do you do in the field of prevention, treatment, and recovery.
I absolutely will. First of all, thank you, Mr. Kenyatta, for having me on the show and such a wonderful introduction. And I'm still working on how to shorten how I and explain kind of like my love and my passion and how my heart goes out to the field of addiction and of recovery. I am a naturopath, which means I am clinically trained to apply natural ways to assess the body. And as an herbalist, I put together natural remedies to address disease conditions in the body. That's where my first love is. And then because I am a child of addiction, both my parents had addictions, I've always had a heavy heart for people who suffer from addiction. And my experience in holistic healthcare has allowed me to try to blaze new trails in the field of treatment and to expand the definition of integrated treatment to include complementary and alternative therapies. So really what my heart its work is to try and enlighten people around options for people who are largely non-compliant first, but then to also broaden the perspective of people in treatment to include natural methods to help people who are interested. And then I also have an affinity for youth, catching the youth with prevention messaging. And so that's really kind of where my heart resides in the field of prevention. And I've been doing it for a very long time.
So
Absolutely.
This is all natural, right?
Yeah.
Nothing. Oh, wow. This sounds great. Awesome.
Yep. So my approach to addiction and treatment and recovery is whole, right? It's one of holism. It's looking at the mind, the body, and the spirit, and not just from a religious perspective, but just kind of meeting people where they are and broadening their perspective and really restoring the humanity to clinical care. And redefining what bedside manner looks like for people in addiction and recovery, and really working really, really hard to end the stigma, as you know, is a big deal for everybody everywhere. And so really kicking down doors and breaking down barriers to change the conversation, and just going back to basics in care.
Okay. Dr. Dudley.
Yes, sir.
Please tell our audience a little something about your background as far as prevention, treatment, recovery. You got quite extensive information on your bio. Could you please share with this?
Just wrap it up in like 2 or 3 words, right? Thank you
time.
again. Thank you so much for hosting this, and Andre also, that this is such an important topic, especially for our community and especially for our youth. My whole background is around youth.
Okay.
And what happens to our youth and our families. And I guess it can really be summed up. The greatest story I had is one of my staff came into a board meeting with a kayak and flippers on. And she says, I represent prevention. And what that meant was we spend so much time downstream pulling kids out of the water, trying to save them before they hit the falls. And I was there. I mean, I designed programs to help kids in foster care. I designed programs. They were treatment programs. They were after the fact programs. And her response was, prevention is you get out of the water and you find out who's throwing them in the water in the first place. You go upstream. You try to stop them from getting into the water. The more kids we prevent from getting into the troubled waters, as we started this segment off with, the better we are at making sure our kids succeed. And that's what we're all about at the Youth Connection. How do I connect youth to a brighter future?
That's great. I want to mention also that the month of September is also National Recovery Month. So I want to definitely include that in also to let people know that recovery is possible. So if you have any loved ones or neighbors or someone that you're concerned about who would like to have some substance abuse treatment, or if you like to get them in a great substance abuse prevention program, Dr. Dudley, I'd like to start with you. Could you let the audience know if you got some kids that want to get into your prevention program, exactly how would you go about doing that?
Call us. Go online. Find the Youth Connection, www.theyouthconnection.org. We are in a number of schools, prevention program. We're funded by the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority, and it allows us to go into schools and to work with kids as young as in the 6th grade, because we know we have to make sure that we reach those kids and give them that prevention message so they're armed when their peers come up and say, hey, you want to smoke this or you want to try this. They have a way in which to resist. They understand what the impact of using drugs will be on themselves and their families. And so we are in the schools. We invite our schools and community groups to call us so that we can come in. And because we're funded through the Mental Health Authority, the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority, it's no cost to them. We also have an awesome program called Strengthening Families. And it's a way in which we bring all the families together. And the kids come in from 3 years old to 25 years old. But the kids are in a special program called Babes, where they learn how to resist and understand their community. And then our Strengthening Families is really targeting those kids 9 to 14 and their parents. We give them dinner, they talk, they come back together. We just had the awesome graduation about a week ago. And so we're excited about the kinds of things that we can do in our community.
Now, what do you do if a kid comes and their parent is resistant? Have you had that yet?
Oh, all the time.
So the parents not too wanting the kids, you know, and how do they do that? What do you do?
One of the things when they walk into the door at the Youth Connection, if they say, I need help, that's it for us. We're all over it. We have several different programs. One is our major substance abuse prevention, but we also have our career academies where we work with kids about what do you want to be. And our job is to try to make sure that we connect them to those resources and those opportunities. So we've had kids who walk in where parents were not supportive and they didn't know what they were going to do. But then we become that family. And I think anybody that works in prevention, anybody that's working out there and working with our kids, it's almost like a family. We have to do something.
Like a village.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Dr. Mitchell, we're talking about families. I noticed that your family is just like a family affair when it comes to prevention. Your son, your husband is on the speaking tour. He wrote a book about prevention. Yeah. I seen your daughter speak down at Burton Manor a couple of months ago. So, Dr. Dudley talked about family.
Yep.
How involved should a family be in as far as the prevention process working with kids?
You got to walk it like you talk it.
Absolutely.
You got to walk like you talk it. One of the things I didn't say, you talked about children's programs, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say, one, I'm the executive director of Changing Lives and Staying Sober, which is also funded by the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority. And we're a substance abuse treatment and prevention agency as well. And we just came off of an awesome weekend with our Action Coalition. And Dr. Dudley, you didn't even mention the coalition either.
I was going to get to that. We're coming back. We partnered on that.
So no, what I meant, you have a coalition which engages youth as well.
True.
And she does, our youth task force, we collaborate with our youth, and she has an excellent program for youth called Hear My Voice. And we have the Action Task Force, Youth Task Force, which just put on an awesome youth summit this weekend. So with regard to a family affair, you have to walk it like you talk it. And I have children, and I recognize that my children don't hear my voice, but that my community and the Black family is so important to me and my husband that we have to walk it like we talk it and teach our you are your brother and sister's keeper, whether I had them or not. And that's really our family's motto. And the child walking down the street is as much my child as you are. Yes. And I care about them and their lives and their future as much as I care for yours, because we have to just be that way. That's just the way that it is. And so it is very much a family affair. These are conversations that we have in our house all the time. My kids, we teach our kids empathy and to have care and concern for other people. And they see their kids, kids in their school with edibles and things and it's a concern for them. And so we have to equip them to lead their peers along a path, and how else to do that but to walk it like you talk. We
had the conference that all day yesterday with a whole lot of kids down at Cobo Hall. That Hear My Voice is so important. Our group with our DFC, we have a Drug-Free Communities grant, and that grant allowed us to create a youth committee. And we said, instead of us telling our kids what you need to do, they told us what they wanted to do. They did an environmental scan of their communities. They did a photo voice as they were taught by the health department. This awesome young lady, Adora, shout out to Adora, who worked with them on a photo project. And with their cell phones, they went out and took pictures of what they saw represented their community and with the impact of drugs on their community. And there's one picture, I wish you could see it and just imagine. It's an abandoned house. And the title they gave it was Abandoned Dreams, Cracked Up Beams.
Wow,
and so
powerful.
it was powerful, and their photo voice was powerful. And so we submitted their body of work from the photo voice and the environmental scans to the CADCA, a mid-year CADCA Institute training in Florida. And their proposal was accepted, and my kids rocked it in Florida. And so we get really proud when our kids stand there, and as Dr. Mitchell said, they're walking what we've encouraged them to do, but we have to make sure we hear their voices.
And they have one. They absolutely have one. They have so much to say. And it's meaningful for me because I was raised by my grandmother, and I was raised in the little girl should be seen and not heard.
Oh wow!
And I've always had so much to say, and so now it's very liberating. People who know me know that, but it's very rewarding for me to give children a voice, because they're brilliant and they're so much smarter than people allow them to express. And so it's just so meaningful to have kids engaged and helping each other. And, it makes the unpopular popular.
Right. And that they're able then to talk about prevention. They're able to go into the schools and resist. They're able to go in the schools and help other kids. They're able to say, hey, I've got some place where you can go. And there is no better way in which a program really earns its I guess its medal is when the kids refer, when it's self-referred. We have a waiting list of over 700 kids.
Oh, gosh.
All right, because they heard about our program as opposed to saying, hey, come one, come all. They're coming.
Oh wow! So how is this paid for? Do you mind me asking? Is it is it
Any way
through
we
Medicaid?
can.
No,
I'm
saying with the kids. How do
prevention.
they,
I'm
how do they-
prevention. So our largest grant for substance abuse prevention comes from the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority. We also have support from the Detroit Department of the State Department of Natural Resources, DNR. We have other grants that come in. Our big grant for the Drug-Free Communities grants. We're one of the agencies that received a Drug-Free Communities grant.
So the kids don't need. Do they have to have Medicare? Or
No,
do they
for us, for prevention,
No.
it's open to them. It's
open
free
to
to them.
Oh wow!
And now
this
we
is good
raise money too.
To listen, callers, this is good that you guys
Absolutely.
hear this. You need to hear
We
this.
raise money. I think there's no nonprofit out here. I'm really good at saying, hey, let me tell you what I do, and let me tell you how you can partner with me and be a strategic partner, because if you partner with me and support me in what we do, we both win.
Once again, please call in, area code 313-838-1035. Because I know with school getting ready to start back
yes.
this Tuesday, a lot of parents are concerned, and a lot of concerned adults about their kids being exposed not only to drugs and alcohol, but also sexual activities and all types of other influence. What could parents do at this particular time as far as preparing their kids to when they have to deal with these situations, especially at a lot of the high schools?
So this is, that's all. Dr. Dudley has more stripes on her jacket than I do. She's been doing this way longer. But for me, I not way longer, and she's so beautiful.
Okay, right.
Youthful.
You're a parent, so
her
you're doing
experience,
it.
yes,
You know,
her
you're a
experience is so vast. What I find, and this might not be true for the breadth of experience, but some of these parents are just really tuned out. And for those who are, I just want to add that no conversation should be off limits.
Absolutely.
With the advent of social media, you can't pretend like these things don't exist, because they do. And if you're not candid and open in your discussions with there's nothing that I want to ask my kids. Nothing, and there's nothing that they can't come and talk to me about, because social media makes it apparent. The images and the messages that they are fed through music and Facebook and Instagram and all of these Snapchats and stuff that they have access to, they're getting the information. So would you rather them get the misinformation, or would you rather arm and equip them with the correct information so that they can make better informed choices and, be selective about what they let into their psyche? So, I would say to the parents, no conversation is off limits. Still ask them. They might cringe at the thought of discussing some topics with you,
Parents, yeah.
but at least they know that they have a voice in the house that is aware and, knowledgeable about the concerns that they face on an everyday basis.
And that they are safe.
Yeah.
One of the challenges out there, if their peers are out there for any reason and something happens, I want my kid to be able to call me, and it doesn't matter what the situation is, I will be there.
Yep.
And I've talked to some parents about have a code with your kids. So if they call and say, hey, mama, and that's it, then I know I got to go. Know where your kids are. You remember back in the day, there was this great commercials. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? You need to know where your kids are. You need to know who they're with. You need to know who their friends are, and you need to intervene. Now, they may kick and scream. They may yell, I hate you. But the bottom line is that it is my responsibility as a parent and as somebody who is responsible for my kids and the kids in my community to absolutely take a stand and say, this is what is expected of you in my home, and this is what you will do. And then I will be there to support you and protect you. But I also know failure will happen, but failure is never final, because I will be there to support you no matter what.
Currently, the agency that I'm working with, Spectrum Child and Family Services, I've been at Central High School for the past 7 years. And what I be doing at Central High School, I do male responsibility classes, I do life skills, I do social skills, I work with the culture team to make sure there's some issues maybe going on with our young people at the school. How important is it to have prevention programs like ours in the Detroit public schools or charter schools or any other schools?
Very.
Because I know at a time when we had another administration at the Bureau of Substance Abuse, it was a big push to get all our agencies into Detroit public schools and charter schools. I think we got away from that a little bit, but I want to ask you ladies, you doctors, how important is to have prevention programs in school? Because I know a lot of the educators are not trained on life skills, social skills, substance abuse, conflict resolution. So is it valuable to have organizations such as ours in the schools working?
I think partnerships are important. I think we aren't successful in working with our kids without being partners, without talking about the relationships that we develop. Where are the kids? They're in school. Absolutely. And where can we then impact them? We can do it in schools. But how do we work together so that they don't miss out on learning, and that part of what we do and what we provide is part of that learning experience? Because kids learn in a variety of different ways. And that your prevention, your intervention, the ability to talk, the ability to communicate, the ability to express how they feel and what they're doing, the ability to have somebody to say, hey, let me pull your coattail. Male responsibility, how to act, how to treat a young lady. Those kinds of things are so important. Our teachers they got to teach. Yes. But we can be a partner with them, right along with them to say, hey, let me give you this resources and help make this a better environment for our kids.
What age do you think that you should start the dialogue? Like seriously?
Preschool.
As soon as they get there. Yes,
wow.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
I think that, so the way that you started out asking that question is how valuable or how important do I think prevention programs is? And the immediate answer that came to my mind was, I don't think there is, I can't even overstate the importance enough. I can't overstate it. There's so many things broken in our educational system. There's so many things broke, and I don't want to get on a soapbox, but I feel for the teachers because they can't even be humane in the classroom because they are charged with so many things and objectives that they have to achieve during the day. And our children are troubled. Our children come to school with anxieties that they don't even know how to express. And it makes instruction difficult. And so what Dr. Dudley described, this process and this partnership, it's part of the holism that I preach in every system, in the healthcare system, in the educational system, in the social services system, this holism, this idea that organizations need to be this village of care that are offered to her. I can't overstate how important prevention is from the outset, from 3 and above. As soon as they go in school all day, it's a long time to be in school and not to be. And then some parents, I hate to say it, like this past generation came up without something. And so I'm just saying, it's difficult to even expect teachers to be able to fill the gap that some of the kids have to come to school with every day. So it can't be overstated how important these programs are.
Let me answer that also, Ms. Love, a question that you asked, because I remember years ago I was at a conference and a young lady said, what's the best time to start working with young people for prevention? And the answer was while they're in the womb.
Period.
Okay?
Wow.
Because, let me explain, because taking care of yourself and
come on now,
proper nutrition and a good frame of mind, you pass that on to your kids. So prevention starts in the womb. If you and your mate is fighting and arguing and drinking, of course everybody know about fetal alcohol syndrome.
Yeah.
That if you drinking, drinking, your child, your baby's drinking. If you smoking cigarettes, and I see a lot of people doing that, a lot of ladies doing, your child is smoking that cigarette with you. So it starts even before they come out, that you got to take care of yourself, being in a good frame of mind. And that's what we need to work. I want to again say Spectrum has a program that we work with young ladies who's pregnant and who's having substance abuse issues. So I want people to know that. I want ladies to know that there's some help.
Well, I'd love to, and I didn't know that Spectrum had that program, and I would absolutely love to add some dimension to that conversation. Anytime, and you call on me anytime and I'll be there, because mothers are a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And while that DNA is replicating in those bellies, there's so many things that they need to be doing. So
one of the things we're aware of, and on one level, teen pregnancies have gone down because people are talking, and that's a good thing. But the ones that are pregnant, one of the things we are talking about, and it's really taking root now, is the issue of trauma, and the issue of the trauma that our kids are going through, our community is going through, everywhere from not being educated, not being able to read, being on drugs, not being able to get off drugs, not having resources, not having a job. All of those kinds of things are traumatic. And then you're expected to cope and to go to school and to do these kinds of things. And I think we have to embrace our families. They're not independent. It's not a child and then the parent. It's all of us together. And so when we talk about those teen moms, one of the things to be very careful of is not just the baby, it's that mom
it's
too.
The mom too.
That we have to wrap around and have services and support for.
And I just want to add to what you're saying. It's so true. And I'm huge on self-sufficiency. I am so with young moms, teaching them how to grow food, make food out of the food that they grow, doubling up on their food bucks. A lot of these young mothers don't know that their food stamps can double up with There's so many things that they don't know. And so teaching them self-sufficiency, because I think the system kind of supports us in a way that enforces that dependency. And so it's really, you got to work really hard to change their mind about how the systems serve them. And teach them to be self-sufficient. And I don't think we have that conversation enough with young moms about how to rely on yourself first and all these mechanisms of support second.
And what are the resources that they can access?
Yeah.
How do I feed my baby? How do I make sure my baby grows up healthy? How do I get the resources? How do I train my baby? A baby that's being potty trained, they have no idea what's going on. What are you trying to make me do?
Look here, we're giving out all this great information. I need to start giving out some phone numbers. Listen, we got people sitting out there saying, yes, give us the numbers so that we can find out what we can. So let me start off with Spectrum Child and Family Services. Okay. Please call us at area code 313-456-6000. We do substance abuse treatment, prevention. Also, like I said, we got the agency, the program with pregnant mom. So please, it's help out there, and that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to talk about today. This is what this whole radio recovery talk is about, to try to help our community so that we can have a productive community where we can send our young people to school and get a good education and make something out their lives. So please, let's give out some phone numbers. So that they can start saying, they can write these numbers down and say, I want my kids involved in some positive activities. And if you're a mother or you're a parent or someone and you need some questions, let's start with you, Dr. Dudley.
The Youth Connection. You can go online, www.theyouthconnection.org, and look at the programs that we have and the resources that might fit your need. And you can call us, 313-826-7099.
Okay. Dr. Mitchell?
Changing Lives and Staying Sober is the name of our agency. Our phone number is 313-412-2160. We're also on the web at www.class-agency.org. And so you can go visit our webpage and see the programs and services that we offer. And we are actively recruiting youth for the Action Coalition's Youth Task Force. So you got some teens, 13 to 24. We got work for them for sure.
And on our side, we're recruiting as well. We're on the east side of Detroit, and we're recruiting parents too.
Yep.
We want to educate parents. Dr. Mitchell's conference yesterday, when we had all the youth there, we want to make sure our parents have a voice in what's going on in their communities. We want to make sure that our kids have an impact on what's happening. The Drug-Free Communities grant that we have to change community statistics, and we have to document that and show it. So we need all the help that we can get, and that's willing parents and willing kids wanting and willing to make a difference in their communities. Because I can't push a rope. I will be there to support you. We will be there to help you, but you also have to be willing to help yourself.
This is true.
And then we also have the grandparents that are raising so many grandparents now, and they don't even have an outreach to know, what should they do
Call
with the tools or how they should do this.
Absolutely. I remember there was a program up at the Dexter Amherst Center that had grandparents raising grandchildren, and I think it was kind of defunded, but it was.
Oh, wow.
It was such a need that programs like that.
So many grandparents.
Let me just say that intergenerational support is invaluable. And let me, shout out to my grandmother, rest in health. I don't know who I'd be without her. Mm-hmm. And that wisdom. And shout out to the grandparents that are raising their kids. This is their second go round. And they need to be supported. Times are different. And it is a challenge for sure.
Absolutely. I want to ask, do you have the number for the Detroit Recovery Project? Because they do such great work with our young people, and I want to say Andre Johnson, who's nationally known in this field of substance abuse prevention, treatment, and recovery. I want to, we're going to have that number available. I'm proud, Dr. Dudley and Dr. Mitchell, of the prevention programs that we have in our coalition as far as with up under the authority with Carl Thomas, who does great. We have about 30-something prevention programs. So, I'm really proud I have the opportunity to be a part of that prevention community for many years, really for 2 decades, 20 years now.
Yes. Oh, wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just as committed to this thing as prevention, because them are our young people out there on the street. If we don't go into schools to help these young people, if we're not out in the communities helping these young people, if we're not giving them positive after-school activities to get involved in, then we're going to have to deal with these kids later on in life one way or another. So I'm all excited about being a part of this prevention community. But as I stated at the beginning of the show, this is also National Recovery Month, and the Detroit Recovery Project got so many activities
coming
it's getting ready to go. And I'm going to ask Ms. Love if you can share some of these activities that's going on with the Detroit Recovery Project.
Okay, yes, we have here. The Women's Conference is September the 7th from 9 to 5. It's 9 to 1, sorry. And then we also have Poetry and Karaoke Night, which is Tuesday, September the 11th. And that's going to be 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Then they have a prayer breakfast from Thursday, September the 13th from 9 to 1. And that's going to be at 1145 West Grand Boulevard, Detroit, Michigan. You can RSVP 313-365 3100, or you can go on Eventbrite. And then we also have the Black Men's Healing Conference, which is going to be at the Detroit Yacht Club on the River Rock. And what day is, let me see.
That's the 14th.
That's the 14th. Yep, that's the 14th. And they're also going to be giving away blazers also, I heard.
Absolutely.
They're going to be, so don't shy away if you don't have anything. They're going to be giving away free blazers for gentlemen to come. They're absolutely free, so don't shy away, because you want to come out. It's going to be very awesome. They got a very good panel lined up that day to be speaking and be talking about different things that are going on with the Black men, young youth, and you want to come out.
It's needed.
It's very needed.
Can I add that Women's Wellness Series that DRP is going to be doing? I'm honored to be invited to do a 3-part series for that on the 7th, and I think it's there's 2 more that follow up, but I'll be doing a women's wellness series for DRP on the 7th, and it starts with the Radical Self-Care Revolution. So if you're out there and you're listening, I hope to see you at the Women's Wellness Series, and we'll follow that series.
Are you going to be the 7th or the 14th?
Both.
There's 2 of them. At both.
There's actually 3. I'm going to be doing both. I'll do the 7th, the 14th, and also the 28th.
Okay.
It's a 3-part
I don't
series.
have that.
Yeah.
So you're okay. Good.
So Radical Self-Care Revolution, As Above, So Below, and Walking in Wonder and Confident Expectation are the 3 topics that we're going to tackle at the Women's Wellness Conference. So
absolutely.
Come out and join us. Come out and learn. I think that's one of the things that we always want to encourage our community is to learn, to get engaged, to look for those resources that would help. I want to give a number also. Our agencies at Spectrum and Care and Class and the Youth Connection, we are there and we have resources. Our resources are not unlimited because we're always looking for resources to help support what we do. But if someone is in a crisis, if somebody I need help right now, Sunday night, what time is it? 9:00 at night, then they can call the 1-800 number in Wayne County, the Detroit Wayne Mental Health Authority's number, which is a crisis line and it's manned 24 hours. It's 1-800-241-4949. And it's important to log that number, put it on the refrigerator, because we want you to reach out. We want you to get the access to resources in Wayne County that you can get help for immediately. We are here. We're going to be in the community, Detroit, our recovery project. All of us are going to be here and say, hey, how we can help. We will be there, Johnny, on the spot. But if you need that help at that time and that hour of the night where I can't go any further, call that number.
Okay. And I want to mention programs such as myself, like Spectrum Child and Family Service. If you don't have transportation to our office, that's no problem. And Spectrum is not the only program. Wow. We'll come to your house, so we don't want there to be any barriers. You know?
And I love that. That is so important.
Absolutely.
That is so important.
Because I got one client, a young lady, she got 8 babies. Ain't no way she gonna jump on the bus with 8 kids to come to my office 3 times a week at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. So one of the things, and I thank Darlene Owens and Carr and Judy Davis for the great work they turned down.
They are
barriers.
Awesome team. They're awesome team.
They have a passion for people to get prevention, treatment, and recovery. Them sisters are tearing down all the barriers there is. So if you're listening out there and you're a parent or you're a brother or sister, believe me, help is available. Support is available. We're here for you. Please call at any of these numbers that we gave you or get back with me at area code 313-456-6000. There's plenty agencies out there. If Spectrum cannot do it for you, I would be more than happy to call the Youth Connection, Sobriety House, Share House, Mariners Inn, prevention programs, class. We work as a team in this prevention, treatment, and recovery community because we know if we invest in you now, at this time, in the long run, you'll be a productive citizen in the community. You come out and you'll be able to give back. So at this time, I believe we're going to have a few announcements that's going on with Mrs. Love.
Oh, yes. Well, I thought we were going to do it like this. It's not time.
And we're going to, okay, you want to kind of continue to push on? Okay, then.
Mr. Kenyatta, I just want to second something. We were in Baltimore this past week with Doreen Turkwright and the Empowerment Zone Coalition for our. She's
a great
also
sister.
Yes, she is a phenomenal sister. And we were asked, what is unique about the prevention providers and the coalition members in Detroit? And I said, it's a real deal thing in Detroit. We are passionate about it. We're not just doing the work because it's our job. Every provider in the city of Detroit is doing this, and it's close, near and dear to their heart. And so I just want to affirm what you've said. Any of these agencies that I see out in our community are doing this work because they have a love for our people and they want to affect community level change. It's real out here.
And one of the things I'm seeing that I'm excited about is the partnerships.
Yes.
The coalitions that are coming together and saying, hey, wait a minute, we have this issue out here. How can we work together, leverage our resources, and address it? The conference that we did yesterday at Cobo Hall, Doreen Turkwright with the Empowerment Zone, we had class that was there. We had the Youth Connection there. As those 3 coalitions that are funded differently, we aren't competing against each other. We're saying, what can we do? Together. What resources can we bring to the table and make a bigger impact? And I'm excited about that. And that's it's refreshing. It's refreshing that we're able to do it. And now folks are coming to us to say, okay, how can we make this bigger, better? Yeah. A call to action. Every coalition, every drug-free communities coalitions in Wayne County, in the state of Michigan, new and old, come together. Let's talk about those issues that we could collectively look at and impact our community across the state. Because we can make a difference. Only take one person to make a difference, but just imagine if we pull together all of these coalitions, all of our services, and say, hey, we're on the same track and we're going to go in this direction and we're going to go together.
Okay. Now, what was your moment for both of you ladies? Because you sound so passionate about what you're doing that made you decide to even get into this, if I ask you guys?
I lost a kid.
Okay.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
I lost a kid. It's been a long, long time ago. At the Children's Center, I I had a young man that I just knew he was in our foster care program, and I just knew that he was gonna make it. He was gonna really and he was in a great foster home, and then I got a call at some ungodly hour in the evening from the emergency room at the hospital, and the lady said, "I am sorry to inform you that this young man was brought into our hospital DOA." And it was like, OMG, it was one of those things that I go to the hospital and I saw my boy, in the room, and he had gone to a party. And he looked at somebody the wrong way, and he just left the store. He got into the car, and the guys came out and started shooting in the car. He jumped out, ran in the wrong direction, and ran into another assailant. Now they caught them, but the level of violence, the level of drugs, the level of just disrespect for life just took me for a loop. And that's when I said, I got to get out of this water. I got to get out of these troubled waters and go upstream and find out who's throwing my kids in the water in the first place. So failure's not final. We work with kids that are in gangs and things like that. Come one, come all. But come making sure that you are willing to make a difference and make a change.
I can answer that question myself, if you don't mind, in 1 minute.
Okay.
36 years ago, I was standing on the corner of Mount Elliott and Charlevoix, panhandling, trying to get some drugs and alcohol. And I'm going to do this in 1 minute. Every day of my life, when I'm out in the city of Detroit or wherever I go, whenever I see somebody who was doing what I was doing 36 years ago, I still get that feeling that's me. And it's my obligation and it's my commitment to do something to help them brothers and sisters. And it's also my dedication and my commitment to help these young people so they will never have to stand out there on the corner of Mount Elliott and Charlevoix, Mack and Bewick, Linwood and whatever, Dexter and whatever. That's what drives me every day that I wake up and get out in this field. That I know that these are our people out here need some help.
I think for me, the turning point was, my oldest daughter is 26, so she was 10. When she was 10, I drove to North Carolina with her. I rode the Greyhound bus to North Carolina with her to get my mom, who was just way out in her addiction. And at the time, Herman Keeper was still open. And I didn't know, had no clue I'd be coming into the field of substance abuse treatment. But I just remember putting my mom through treatment. She was at New Life Home on Gratiot, well before I had even met Dr. Azabiji. And going through that process with her and realizing that she kind of outsmarted the system and didn't go through the work, and then kind of I was thinking that I was going to get something out of that process and my kids would get something out of that process, and just ultimately coming to, and my mother's still in her addiction today. She doesn't live here or whatever, but just realizing that the system they're so focused on the people that are trying to be better that the children are kind of left out. And recognizing that there are not services, and then being a mother at that time and saying, oh my God, there are kids who are subject to this on a regular that don't have a safety net. And just like when I talk about that, it chokes me up, because it's like, I'm still not okay from my mom and dad being you know what I mean? So that's a reality. And just wanting to be there and create space for healing for kids who are getting it on both ends. They have parents who are addicted, but then all their friends are getting high too, right? It's everywhere they turn. So just wanting to be there. That moment, seeing my mother and realizing that there was a system in place that didn't help her and therefore couldn't help me, was kind of like, yeah, this ain't going to be our future.
Imagine when one kid changes.
Yep.
Imagine it's like, we've seen it.
Yep.
We've seen that one kid at a time. And that's all it takes, is that one kid to say thank you, to come back and say, look at me, I'm a real kid. We've seen it.
Yep.
I've gone and pulled kids out of drug houses. I've gone and said, I'm not willing to ask my staff to do anything I'm not willing to do. We've done it. And so when you see that kid comes back and they've graduated, they're in college, or they're working, and all of those good things. We had one young man who came up to the office and said, will you help me? And we did. And he learned all kinds of things. And now we sent him to his brother in Maine. And then he came back. He just called back a couple weeks ago. And now he's an electrical engineer. And so those are the successes. Those are the things. One kid, then it makes all the things that we're doing worthwhile.
We had a 19-year-old boy at the conference yesterday who was our keynote.
Awesome.
His name is Akil Ekfer. Awesome kid. He's 19, 5 years drug-free.
Oh, wow.
So
That's a clap for me.
5 years drug-free. So he's 19 now. So from 13, 14, he was doing pills, whatever he can get his hands on. Marijuana. And he's 5 years drug-free. And so for the kids to hear that and say, wow. And for me as an adult to say, this kid was just out here in the world. So those kinds of things motivate me.
Wow. Now, can I ask you, does mental illness play a part with you guys when you get the... because mental illness is a stigma in the Afro-American community. I hate to say that, but it's not pushed enough because they're so serious in it.
There's a level of complexity that resides with me as it relates to mental illness. So to answer your question, absolutely it comes into play. I think in our community, we don't recognize it for what it is. But there's also this medical mistrust of being over-medicated that keeps people in a place where they are. And as a naturopathic doctor, I have a completely 720-degree different viewpoint in terms of how mental illness should be managed and held and healed.
Caller.
Finish that off, Doctor, please.
Yeah, so for me, it absolutely is an issue. And I don't think that we've learned how to neutralize the stigma in a way that we can have a meaningful conversation. And I do that in everything. And Dr. Dudley brought up trauma. We are born traumatized. And so if we don't acknowledge that, we are miles away for where we can even open that discussion. And I try to be as candid about that as possible.
Great. We have a caller here. Welcome to Recovery Talk. Caller. Okay. Caller, can we help you?
Yes, I was calling to see, how would you get into the program?
Which program are you speaking of?
Is it Detroit
The
Recovery?
Recovery Project.
Okay.
Yes.
Detroit Recovery Project?
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, do we have that number for the Detroit Recovery Project, please?
Yes, we do have that.
Okay.
I have it.
Is this for you? Okay.
I do. So this is for the Eastside Health and Wellness Recovery Resource Center that's located on East McNichols. That office phone number is 313-365-3100. I'll repeat it for you again. It's 313-365-3100. I visited that center. What Andre Johnson is doing over there, it is phenomenal. And I know that going over there they'll take great care of you.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for calling. Thank you for reaching
Yes.
out.
Thank you for reaching out.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you.
So at this time, Mrs. Love, would you like to?
Well, I guess we only have 5 minutes, so I wanted to say to Aretha Franklin's family about her passing. I watched the service. It was beautiful. It was awesome. They had a couple little discrepancies about Ariana Grande's dress, which I don't know why that was such a big deal. Then they talked about the pastor being inappropriate. Did you watch this?
My kids were talking about it today.
So I was just thinking, okay, wow.
That wasn't the point.
Come on, they're focusing always on negative. I know that he was holding her, but it didn't look like it was a sexual type of hold. I don't know why they made such a big thing about it. It was
because they just didn't have anything else to focus on at the time. There's always something negative to overshadow the positive. That's just the way media sensational. They needed to be relevant at that time, and so they sensational. Yeah, well.
Even Smokey Robinson spoke out on the dress. He's like, "Oh, that dress was way too short." It took the.
I'm sure it was some church mothers in the church that basically had.
But what about the fact that so many people came out? I was on Woodward Avenue trying to get home from my friend's home, and there were all the lanes of traffic were blocked, waiting for the service to arrive to the cemetery. Folks were giving their respect. The greatest sign I saw going up 75 was this big sign that said, said respect in big
I
glittery
love that
letters,
one. I saw
and
that one
just
also.
had her year of birth and her year of death. And you knew it was for her. You know, so it's about that positive thing in our community, what
gave
she
to the
stood
community.
for, and who she supported.
Yes, and the pink Cadillacs. I mean,
Oh,
look at
yes,
that. Mary
100
Kay
pink
did that. It
Cadillacs.
was-
Yes.
And you
I
know,
thought it was beautiful.
my input is I'm hoping that a lot of the young artists can see the commitment that Mrs. Franklin had, not just bling bling and wearing the jewelry, but her
Yes.
commitment to the civil rights movement. Oh, we got another caller. Her commitment to the civil rights movement and everything that she stood for, and being the lady that she was, she could be an inspiration for a lot of the entertainers
Yes.
that come behind her. We got another caller here. Call them.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord. I want to give God the praise for you guys. I've been listening to you.
Oh, wow.
My name is Sister Cheryl, Minister Cheryl. I used to be on the radio broadcast for Bishop Kenneth Tate.
Okay.
What you guys are doing has been ordained by God. Bless you and everybody listening. We come on from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. And call in and give this information. We have one off the line, intercessor, and Gloria. She's in study, going for classes. And this is a must be, because God is on his way. And just like you said, we don't do it. Okay, God's going to hold us accountable, because these are the children crying out of the wilderness of the day. Bless you guys, and let us become proactive. Talking about it, but be about it. And I'm proud of you guys, and I'm going to be listening to you.
Wow,
thank
thank
you,
you.
Jesus.
Awesome.
Good.
Awesome.
Thank
Bless you also.
Thank you. Every Sunday night, Recovery Talk is on from 8 o'clock p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm sitting in as a guest host today, but we have a gentleman by the name of Andre Johnson who's going to be doing this every Sunday night. I like to say this brother is an ordained recoveryologist, because this brother was tested by fire. He went from crack house
Yes.
to Moore House to the White House.
Yes.
So, hey,
Yes,
that's right.
the brother is committed. So please continue to listen to this station every Sunday night from 8 o'clock. If you got a relative or someone on drugs or
Yes.
alcohol and needs some help, have them to listen to this. It can be a blessing coming through the radio,
Yes,
and he
amen.
can get the information every weekend. He'll have somebody coming on here talking about the honest truth about addiction, about long-term recovery, about trials, tribulation, but most of all, he will empower that individual to go get some help, to go out there and let them know that if he can do it, if Lawrence Kenyatta can do it, if thousands of people throughout the city of Detroit, the bus driver, the mailman who's in recovery is here for you.
Yes. Amen.
Closing remarks, please, doctors.
And one of the things as I said earlier in the show, that failure is never final. All right. And there are folks there. We are out here to say, hey, how can I help? And finding out what resources are available. And with our partnerships and being able to say, hey, together we can make a difference and our communities can be better. But we also have to be willing to learn. We have to be willing to seek out and help. And we have to be willing to ask for help. And I think that's a big thing that we want our communities to do.
Yes. Yes.
I think for a minute, I just want to step out of the context of Dr. Mitchell and speak as a citizen of a community member of the city of Detroit. You guys know that marijuana is coming up on the ballot, this high potency crack weed. I'd like to engage the city in a meaningful discussion about high potency crack weed and retail marijuana being on the ballot in November. I do a show on Wednesdays, A Dose of Dr. Carla, 11 o'clock every Wednesday on Motor City Woman Radio, where we explore the case against legalization, in my personal opinion. And so, that's something that we all need to be talking about, because I think the media and the big dollar marketers are misleading us in the harms that marijuana is going to bring to our community. So I want to put that on your mind, and let's be smart and protect our community.
And learn both sides, not just this is going to bring money into the cities, but what else will it bring?
Yep.
Yes.
So let's learn about the rest of the story.
Thank you so much. Every Sunday, Recovery Talk is WMUZ 103.5. Thank you, and
Yes.
please support the station.
Amen.
Thank you.